Right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Infinite Social Solutions live stream. Tonight, I'll be going over spam email, how you get spam email, what causes spam email, how to actually prevent um, getting spam email, and also what to do in the event that you do get spam email. And I'll also be going over the different ways your email becomes compromised. Um, how you know organizations, hackers, things like that get your email, and what you can do about that as well too. All right. So before we begin, if you're just joining, if you have a question, please put your question in the chat. I will do my best to answer any and all questions asked. I just ask that you put them in the chat. That way I'll be able to see them. Um, And with that being said, we will get started here. Hello, LinkedIn user. I believe you may be blocked. I do see you, but how are you doing this evening? Well, you're not blocked by me, but my chat has you blocked. I'll find out who you are in a second here. All right. So, spam emails, right? So, I don't think there's anyone in this world that has an email address that is not getting spam emails or has at least gotten at least one spam email. They are a nuisance. They they fill up your inbox. Some The way I've seen some inboxes set up, they are just clutter. That clutter causes you to possibly miss an important email or email that you've been looking for. And if that's the case, if you miss an email or something important, may end up being a bad day for you. uh, you know, just for that reason. So, the different ways that your email, I'm sorry, I'm trying to bring up LinkedIn, so I'm doing two things at once. So, different ways you get spam email. All right. So, we're going to go over those, about 6 or 7 different ways you get spam email. So, the first one on my list here is email harvesting. Okay. So, the way email harvesting works is that spammers use automated software to scour the internet and actually basically go to different websites, different public directories, social media forums, anything that's online. They have bots that they can set up to actually filter through all the text in those websites or in those forums and pull emails, right? So back in the day, even now still, so there are forums that are still active where you would basically just sign up with your email address and set a password. And normally back then your email address was your username, so it was a lot easier to get people's email addresses, right? Not so much nowadays. They do most websites do a pretty good job of masking your email address or not making it readily available by giving you a unique username. But email harvesting still happens to this day. There are other ways email harvesters can get around those obstacles, like your email address not being shown in your profile and things like that. That was, even though it's still in use, it's kind of like an old school method nowadays. It still works. They don't have to do it as much now because for the most part, our email addresses are out there. So they don't have to do too much email harvesting anymore, but they still do it. And it's a thing. Next, and this is one of the biggest ways that hackers and spammers actually are able to get our email addresses, and that's through purchased or shared lists. Okay, so how does your email make it to a purchased or shared list? All right, so one way I just talked about was email harvesting. Okay, so this bot scoured the internet, pulled all these email addresses, put them in a Word document or a spreadsheet to be saved, right? Um, once that list has been, once you have this, they have this list and it's been composed. If they have several thousand, maybe millions of email addresses on this list, you know, that's a commodity at that point. That list now has monetary value, not to just hackers and spammers, but to also large companies as well too. Um, you know, retailers who want to get their advertisements out. That list is a commodity. That's why when companies, you know, were selling our data, part of what they were selling were like email addresses. So over time, you can imagine over time that, you know, you started with this basic list, and then over time you keep adding more and more email addresses to the list. Each email address on that list is a dollar sign to a company, so you know they're gonna pay money to get that email list because they need to be able to reach as many people as possible through email advertisements and things like that, right? So yeah, so usually it's purchased mainly on the black market. Not well, the companies can't sell your those companies now can't sell your email address. What they actually have to do is trade or share it with someone, so they can't actually sell your email address. I'm pretty sure they probably do behind the scenes, but legally they can't sell that information because, and I don't want to get too deep into it, but your email address in certain situations becomes personal information when it's attached to any other information that can identify you specifically, right? So my email address alone is not personal information because one, we don't even own our email addresses unless we have our own domain and we're paying for it. So that Gmail email address you have, that Yahoo, that Hotmail, you don't own that email address, right? You're just using it until that company goes out of business or they decide for some reason they don't want to offer email services anymore, right? You don't own that at Gmail. You don't own that at Yahoo. You're just they're just letting you borrow that name until you know they go out of business or something drastic happens to them, right? So email address, personal information, right? Unless it's attached to something that can identify you, like an address and a phone number, social security number, or something like that. But to be on the safe side, these companies will just treat your email address as personal information, so they just don't get in trouble, even though technically your email address by itself is not personal information. Because what happens on the back end is that the scammers and the hackers and things like that, they have these email lists and they've probably stolen information from elsewhere. And with that personal information that they may have stolen, your email address, they may have your name, address, and phone number, and in one list, and on another list, they just have the email addresses. But when they compare that list of email addresses to the other information that they've taken, and they find that the email address on this list matches an email address that's attached to a name, phone number, and date of birth on another list, now they know it's you, and now all of that becomes personal information. But that's a topic for another time. I can go on and on about personal information. If you have a question, don't hesitate to ask. Yeah, so purchase a shared list. That's one way your email address gets taken. Another one that most people should be familiar with is phishing attacks. Phishing is a fraudulent technique used to trick individuals into revealing their personal information, including email addresses. Spammers may create deceptive websites or emails that resemble legitimate organizations or services to lure users into providing their email addresses unwittingly. This is very common. This is essentially what most spam email is nowadays. And it hasn't gone anywhere. It's still a popular method of for scammers and hackers to get information from individuals, because simply put, as long as people don't take the necessary precautions or don't pay attention to the emails that they are getting, they'll keep falling susceptible to phishing attacks. And as long as they keep falling susceptible to phishing attacks, you know, the hackers and the scammers are not going to stop doing it. I personally, I was a victim of a very good phishing attack. Luckily, it was at work. Well, not luckily it was at work, but it was a work email to test that they sent out, and they got me real good. Case in point, the email they sent out was in the message, it said that I had gotten a ticket for being illegally parked. The irony behind that is I was illegally parked that day and very well could have gotten a ticket, but I did not. But that email was hit too close to home for me to not believe it, right? So, but it was a phishing email. And the reason why I didn't notice it, again, because the situation described in the body of the email was exactly what I was experiencing that day. So, and it was a good email that they sent. Too bad I didn't pay attention to the email address it was sent from. That would have helped me out, but I will be going over how to prevent that from happening to you. All right. But again, phishing attacks, you get an email. A lot of them are for like PayPal or a bank saying that they need your information because something was wrong with your account, things like that. Or a common one I see is a fake one from Best Buy saying that you owe money for their Total Tech service or something like that. All fraudulent emails. But I will go over them and show you some spam emails and some phishing emails as well. Another way is malware infections. So this one, it happens now. I don't come across this too much. Actually, it's been a while since I've actually come across someone that actually has a virus on that computer or malware on that computer. But malware is malicious software that infects computers. Majority of the time, the malware is meant to try to steal information. So like if you get malware in a computer, it's actually one way they steal the information is you'll get the malware. Malware will install what's called a keylogger on your computer. So that malware, while it's tracking which websites you go to, it's also copying everything that you type. So if you go to a website like your bank, for instance, and you always type in your email address and password to get to that website. Well, the malware, while you're on your bank, say it be Bank of America, right? So you're on bankofamerica.com, type in username and password. The keylogger that was in the malware is actually copying everything that you type in this log, and the log is being sent to wherever the malware is meant to send information to, and they can look in this log and see, okay, you were on Bank of America's website, this is the information you typed in. They're going to go ahead and type in that information, right? But yeah, the malware basically sits on your computer, tries to find as much information as it can, or information that it was programmed to look for, and send it elsewhere. So before you even know that you might have malware on your computer, in most cases it's too late. They've already probably got the information that they want. That malware also allows them to even allow them to get into your computer every time you turn on your computer and connect to the internet, right? That happens, but that's just another way that they get emails from us. Another one, this one I tell people all the time, especially people who complain about getting spam. These online surveys and contests, especially the ones on our social media apps like Facebook, right? Those little surveys you take and they give you a picture, and things of that nature. you're willingly giving them the information. Like in the terms of service, or when you go to acknowledge that you're using the website, in the fine print, I'm pretty sure in the fine print somewhere it says that they can use your email address and trade your email. Can't sell it. They can definitely trade it, right? Because it's not, like I said before, it's not personal information. So, but and uh, you give them that information willingly, right? So let's say, for instance, they may not even trade your email address, right? But what they will do is they will go to advertisers and say, "Hey, I have X amount of, I have access to these people here." So what they'll do is they will have a list of email addresses, right? And company A who wants to advertise, or company A that wants to advertise with company B, they say, "Hey, I have these email addresses. Let's see if they match up." Emails that match up, that means that's a hit for them. That's a customer they both have. So now that I've compared my list to this other list, I know that this customer that I have on list A is also on list B. So I'm potentially, that's one way that I'm tracking that customer, right? I got their email from somewhere, or they may have been my customer, but the other company that I'm dealing with, they have the same email address for a customer. And if they match up, then the assumption is that's the same customer. That's also how they track what you're doing and where you're going, by using your email address. Again, email address is not personal information unless it's attached to some other identifying information, right? So your email address technically is free reign. They can do whatever they want with it. But legitimate companies aren't going to sell that information, because in the event that something may happen and some other personal information may get out, but your email address is free game. But yeah, again, when we do these online surveys and contests, we're pretty much giving our email addresses away. We're not even thinking twice about it. And then tomorrow you complain you got 50 spam emails. Well, that's why. The biggest one of all is data breaches. So this is when large companies get hacked and their information is stolen, like Sony, Bank of America, Wells Fargo. I think at this point, every major retailer has had a data breach at some point in their history, whether they know it or not. And a lot of times now, it takes months before a company figures out that they've actually been hacked. The information is already gone by the time some of these companies find out. But that's one of the most costly culprits and causes of us receiving spam emails, or data breaches of companies that collect that information, collect our emails and things. So, but again, if you have any questions, let me know. Let me bring this up real quick. So what we're going to do is take a look at some emails that I have up already. And what's going to happen is I'm just going to go through these. This is my spam folder, by the way, my Gmail. The great thing about Gmail is that they have filters set up for spam to automatically filter out spam. Sometimes it works too good, but I'll go over, spam filters and things like that. Just give me 1 second here. Oh, that was Larry. Okay. Larry. Larry was an old manager of mine. Yep. Say hi to Larry. All right. All right, cool. So, spam emails, right? So, again, we all get them. Some get them more. Some of us get more spam emails than others, but everybody, for the most part, gets spam email. Right. So I went over a couple of things that, or a couple of ways that scammers and hackers get our emails. Right. So once they have our emails, once our email address has been sold to some company or advertiser or another hacker or another scammer, what they do with that information is the hackers and scammers, what they'll do is they'll create phishing emails, right? So those are emails meant to look like legitimate emails in the hopes to trick us into giving up our personal information, right? So they may just have our email address and not know who we are, what our name is, what we look like, nothing, right? They just have this email address. So they're essentially taking a shot in the dark when they send the phishing email. So if they luck up and someone gets this phishing email, the scammer lucks up because the recipient thought it was real, entered in the information. The hacker won at that point. Like once you get that far, once you enter in the information and send it, it's a wrap. You just need to change all your passwords and possibly get new accounts at that point, right? But that's what they're looking for. So basically our emails for them are pretty much shots in the dark. They got 1 million email addresses. They're just hoping that 100 people fall for the trick, right? So see if I can find a good example of a phishing email. I think all of these are actually legit emails. And that's the other thing too. Legitimate emails with email filters can end up looking like the filters will think that they are actual spam emails and put them in your spam folder, which sucks sometimes because I've missed some important emails because they went straight to spam. All right, cool. So here is a great example of a phishing email. Okay, so when you do get, or you should just do this with any email that you get, whether it's in your spam folder or not, just to be sure, right? So first thing you want to do is actually look at the email, read the email, subject, who it's from, body, check to see if there are any attachments, okay? So subject of this email, your QuickBooks subscription is expired today. All right, so if I just saw this email in the list as I was going through, like if I was scrolling through this list of emails and I saw this email right here, your QuickBooks subscription is expiring today. All right, I'm automatically going to ignore that email and delete it. And the reason why is I've never used QuickBooks. I do not have a QuickBooks subscription. Okay, so that's one thing you can do. If you get an email and it doesn't look like anything, if it doesn't look legitimate or you call BS on it, just delete it. Like that's literally the most you can do is delete that email. Okay, but I'm gonna go ahead and click on it because it's safe to click on it and open it up. But again, your QuickBooks subscription is expiring today. I know this is complete BS. Like I said, never use QuickBooks, don't have a subscription, right? So with QuickBooks being in the subject, right? QuickBooks, I'm familiar with them. That is a product that I'm familiar with. So the next thing I'm going to look at is who it came from, right? Now, one way to tell if a email like this, something that has to do with like a subscription for something. One of the things to help legitimize these type of emails is looking at the from email. Okay, so this came from elena.vm@skiff.com. Okay, again, no one I know or heard of, never heard of skiff.com. I would at least expect this email to come from quickbooks.com, right? But no, this is skiff.com. Not familiar with that. All right, another indicator that I just don't need to be paying attention to this email, right? Another indicator I don't need to pay attention to it. And it looks like they CC'd our Ravender host books at Gmail. Again, never heard of that email address before, I can stop right here because I'm pretty sure this is a phishing email. Okay, but let's just continue because I want to go over parts of these phishing emails. Right, so we know off of the subject alone, it's not legit. Right, email address skiff.com, never heard of it, not legit. All right, and I'm actually, for the purposes of the live stream, I'm actually trying to go to skiff.com to see what it is. Hopefully I don't get any malware or anything on my computer by going here. And this is a message from Google saying report not spam, but to me this is spam as far as I'm concerned. Secured by Skiff Mail. All right, so I'm just curious. So let's go to skiff.com, see what happens. Okay, so Skiff private, encrypted, secure. So this is legit. So encrypted. Skiff.com. So one of my favorite things to do is if I need to tell whether a website is legit or not, there are sites that you can go to tell you whether a website is legit or not. So I'm going to use let's use favorite website. Is this website legit? Oh man, they changed the we'll just use scamadvisor.com, see what happens here. No. All my sites are gone. All right, here we go. And again, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. Try to get to any or all questions. If.com. Scan the website and we'll see what happens. This is something that you would not have to do. This is just something something extra that I go through. Domain is 28 years old. Section, nothing fraudulent on that website. So the scammers are using skiff.com to send their emails, send encrypted emails. So basically, they are doing their best to try not to leave a paper trail. So, all right, so that's weird. Or this is the service that they're using for their email address. So, all right, so that was cool. All right, so the other thing too is to notice in this email is that it has a attachment. Okay, now if you've taken any security class or seminar for your job, when they do talk about security and with email and things like that, they always tell you if you're unsure of an attachment that's on an email, if you're unsure, don't click on the attachment. Okay, I'm gonna tell you here, I'm gonna repeat that as well. Do not click on the attachment, especially if you don't know where the email came from. Okay, again, your best defense against an unwanted email is to just delete it. Okay, but for training purposes, I'm going to click on this attachment because I have the proper defenses on my computer just in case something happens, right? So this is the attachment for the quote unquote QuickBooks subscription that is expiring today. And let me enlarge this so you can see it. All right, so this is essentially what the attachment looks like. It's a subscription notice, right? At initial glance, Intuit QuickBooks, right? So initial glance, this actually kind of looks legit, right? Kind of looks legit. Usually when I get these and I look at them, I try to look for grammatical errors and things like that. But yeah, see, they got the no. Oh, all right, so see right here already. So, and for some reason, what the weird thing is, every time I've seen attachments like this, I've seen identical ones and ones that like more than likely came from the same people, same scammers, but they never fix the grammatical errors. They never fix the grammatical errors, right? The only error I can see right offhand is here you have the phone number, but if you scroll down a little bit, same phone number, but the 4 is missing from the area code. So they didn't catch that. Yeah, like if you look at this, it seems like a legit subscription notice. And here, so there's no link to click on. So the idea behind this one is that they want you to call that number, because I'm pretty sure they're gonna ask for a credit card or bank account and routing number to pay this subscription. At a previous job, I talked to several people that fell for. I worked at a retirement home, and this was a daily occurrence. Like somebody was getting scammed from these phishing emails daily. Some for a couple of dollars. I think at that time, the highest that someone had, I think they got this one lady, they got her for $16,000. 16,000. She got scammed out. But yeah, she she won't do that again. Especially after I sat her down and we had a conversation. I showed her all the stuff that I'm live streaming right now. But yeah, she is 16,000. But the most I've heard so far is 40,000. And they got this lady. They went in this lady's savings and wiped her out. So, but again, be careful with these emails. Like this is actually pretty good. I can see someone not knowing any better calling that number. But again, let's go over this email. Again, the subject. If the subject looks kind of wonky to you, you don't trust it, delete it. If you just want to double check and make sure, you know, that the emails you're familiar with, you check the to and from field. If it's not from an email address you recognize, delete the email. Attachments look kind of funny, look kind of iffy, delete the email. You know, there's really no way you're gonna stop getting spam emails. So the best defense is to have a filter set up in Gmail. Gmail automatically filters spam emails. However, you do want to go to that spam folder, because there are emails in your spam folder that technically aren't spam. So you want to go and double check and go through that and make sure you check those emails first, because you can take them out of the spam folder, and then everything else, you know, you just remove from the spam folder. Like for instance, now this one is the voice. So this email here, this email is actually from Benji's, which is an outdoor movie screen here in Maryland. Their email address is the voice at benjis.com, right? But if you look at their email, I think they just do this because they've always done this and it kind of makes them unique. But the emails that they send look like straight up emails from 1996, like before HTML became was used to format emails and things like that. Like this email looks like a fraudulent, a fake, like a spammy email, but in fact, it's really not. This is just how they how they send out their emails, which is a bit annoying, but you know, that's their thing. But I know this isn't a spam email, although it has the characteristics of a spam email. But again, that's why I say it's important to actually go through and look at these emails to see if they are legit or not. But that's just one that's in my spam folder. This Lisa Smith, I've gotten several of these. That's a recruiter. Investing.com offers. I think this one is actually legit, but it can stay in my spam folder. I don't care. Actually, no. Let me see that again. Yeah, okay. That was legit. Yeah. The rest of these can go in the trash. All right. Cool. All right. It's been 45 minutes. So, that was just a brief overview of spam emails, ways to prevent spam emails, how to identify spam email. The only thing else I have left to say about the subject of spam emails is, again, if you do not recognize the email, right, don't click on it. Simply do not click on it. Delete it, because that's basically the best defense you have against spam email. You unfortunately are going to get spam emails. You are going to get them. They will come to your inbox. However, knowing what to do once they get there is the most important thing. And the best thing that you can do is just to delete the email. Okay? But if you have any questions, any comments, concerns, want to holler at me, have the information scrolling at the bottom of the screen. I will keep this up for a little bit longer, but I've been talking for 45 minutes, and yeah, I'm done until the next live. Everybody have a safe and great evening. For those on the East Coast, Northeast, stay warm. It's cold out there, and I will see you all later.